Hello everyone, this is Dr. Gibson. Welcome to Math 261 here for the summer term at John Tyler. I have made this video just to explain a few things about the way the course is going to work. Most of it, the vast majority of what I'm going to say you probably would have picked up without some extra help, but I thought just to answer some obvious questions up front. And then if you have any more later, like if there's anything, the video or just kind of looking around in Canvas you feel like doesn't answer for you, please let me know. All right, so this course is taught in Canvas. It also uses a piece of software called Lumen Learning. From the student's perspective, really it's just like you're always in Canvas. You'll click on certain assignments, and when you're doing homework or quizzes or tests, really the math itself, if you will, and the videos are actually in Lumen. But anyway, so here's our opening. Obviously you have to do the COVID-19 stuff. First, everything's set so you can't really look at it without having done the COVID-19, okay? Intro to Lumen here. These questions, it says 11 points. It's really, that's because there's 11 questions, I think, in Lumen. It's really, it doesn't count towards your grade, but it'll go through and show you how to enter answers and the basics of how Lumen works. If you've used it before, you're welcome to skip it. If you haven't used Lumen before, I strongly recommend that you take the few minutes it'll take to go through and answer those questions. Let's see, is it course information? You can get the textbook right here. And the calculator, DMOS online calculator. So you can't use that when you're taking a test. But you are welcome. There's a few places in the homework where to kind of illustrate an idea, they ask you to use a graphing calculator, and this online calculator will work for that, so nobody needs to buy a graphing calculator. All right, so that's the purpose of that. The review of pre-calculus is optional. All right, so there's some stuff in here. If you find yourself needing a review of something, it's in there. It's just a total resource for you. It's not graded. There's problems and videos and things. This section of exponents here is something, probably one of the more common ones, for example. Sometimes people forget about how to work with negative exponents or fractional exponents. All right, so all that's just that's just there. It's a resource for you. It's not, none of it's graded. All right, so let's go over here. I have a calendar set up. Just looking at the calendar, okay? You'll notice the 3 tests are in kind of purple here, and then the final. In other words, there's the 3 tests, and then the final, if you look. Every other week, there's either a test or the final, okay? Now, because the testing centers are not open on Sundays, all right, so the week that we have a test, or final exam, everything's due on Saturday, because that's when the testing center's open. All right. Otherwise, I've given you an extra day, so if there's no test, then the stuff is due on Sunday. So, I hesitated. I almost just made everything due Saturday to avoid confusion, but I decided to give the extra days because my experience is so many people do stuff on the weekends. So another way to look at it, you'll know every odd numbered week, everything's due on Sunday because there's no test, right? Even numbered weeks, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, right? There's either a test or the final, and everything's due on Saturday, okay? Now, let's talk about the weekly routine. You will see the way I have this laid out on here is really just what you're going to see on the modules page, all right? So, whether there's an odd week with no test or an even week with a test, there's prep work and there's homework. When there's no test, there's more homework. But in an 8-week summer, there's just not time for me to have a test and the review for the test just be the only assignment for the week, all right? So one of the homework, now finals week, there's just the exam and the review for the exam. But the other weeks that there's homework, there's some homework problems and there's a review assignment for the test, all right? And then the test itself. So really the difference is this, So both weeks start like this. There's prep work for the week. Every homework assignment has prep work. We'll talk about what that is in a minute. Then there's the homework, and if it's not a test week, there's a quiz. If it is a test week, then there's also a review for the test assignment and a test. All right? Now, as I said, what is prep work? It's 10% of your grade. What is it? All right. Let's go over here to Canvas, and we'll open up one so you can see it. In fact, we'll just open up the first one. So what you're going to want to do is download these and then fill them out. All right? Because what's happening, and this happens every once in a while, it's kind of annoying. Oh, there it is. There are videos, you'll see them, they're in the modules, they're embedded right in them, for each homework, okay? Some homeworks only have 1 or 2 videos, some have several. And then what I've done in here, we're not going to meet, right? So the videos are kind of like your class lecture. What I've done, my intent is to help, but I've also assigned it, and it is 10% of your grade. Though I'm really only grading it for if you genuinely do it. All right? Handwrite it in is what I'm looking for, not clips. If you type it in, that's fine, but not cut and paste. So each section, each video is listed, and then what I did is I put in screenshots and questions for each what I call critical or key point in each video. All right, so the idea is this is essentially this is essentially an outline for you to take good notes on the videos, and I'm going to require you to fill it out and turn them in. Okay, you'll see the link in the module. Okay, let's go back and look at it. If you're in a module, like we'll open up the first one, they all work this way. See week 1 prep work, click on the link. There'll be a spot there to download it, and then there's also a place there for you to upload it when you're done. So right, you can use your camera on your cell phone or whatever. You can make it JPEGs. I've found it tends to work best when you get a little free app that'll make it be a PDF. For those of you that have iPhones, Canvas does not read files that are called have an HEIC ending on them, .HEIC. So you're going to have to remember to turn it into a PDF or a JPEG or something so that I can read it in Canvas. All right. I much prefer that you use your little app to turn it into one document instead of a separate document for each page. All right. Okay. Let's go back to the calendar. So that's the prep work. So each week you're going to do the prep work followed by the homework. All right. And then if it's an odd week, you do the quiz and you'll be done. That'll be due on Sunday. If it's an even week, then you've got to do the review for test assignment and a test. All right. All the tests, you're going to take them, need to be scheduled with the John Tyler Testing Center. All right. They have both in-person and Zoom proctoring options. I will say the Zoom spaces are limited, so if you can make it in person, please do that. I'm not going to in any way attempt to find out who could and couldn't make it. I'm just asking you as a courtesy to your fellow students, the Zoom space really is somewhat limited. So if you can reasonably go to campus, please do that. Now let's talk about this in yellow here. All homework questions can be done an infinite number of times. Well, what do you mean by that? Here's how it works. After 3 attempts at a question, it's going to tell you the right answer. All right. So in order to get another attempt after the third one, you'll have to select the button to get a new version. You'll see there's just a little sort of, there's a button right next to every question that it's like an arrow going in a circle, well, in an oval. You click on it, and then what it does is it puts new numbers in the question. And then you got another attempt. And all you got to do is get one attempt right, and it'll be marked as right. Okay. The reason that's important is you're going to need at least 80% on a homework or a test review to begin the next assignment, usually. I reset it after every test, okay? So for example, at the end of week 2, right, just test 1, so I reset it. So there's no requirement about anything you've done in order to do the first homework assignment after that. So 211 you can do straight up, but then the other homework assignments that week, you will have to get 80 or more on the homework before, all right? Sometimes students kind of complain about that. I did it several years ago, teaching, because just from experience, I learned for whatever reason, online or whatever, a lot of students don't do their homework, even more than in a class setting. And when I did this, kind of pushing everybody to do their homework that way, the average grade of my students went up by a whole letter grade. So I'll just warn you, I won't flex with that. That's the rule. You got to get the 80%. I've programmed it into the software. All right. Little pro tip here. Explanation of video doesn't make something clear for you. In other words, what I'm saying is you work through the video, you go to a homework problem, you're still not seeing it. See if you can find it in the book. All right. Remember, the book was up here under course information. There's the textbook. Okay. It's got a lot of good worked out examples. All right. So what I'd like to say is, when you're doing your homework, please make a couple of real attempts at each question, right? Look and see if you can find a video like it in the book. But after that, right, don't beat your head against a wall, right? You're welcome to ask me for help. I'm glad to help, right? It's my job, and I enjoy doing it, okay? So if you get to a point, you're looking at a homework question and you realize you need some help with it, here's what I'd like you to do. Send me an email with the following information. The name of the assignment, 2, the question number. 3, whatever steps you tried, please type them out, in full detail in the email. Okay? Now, I'm aware that sometimes you look at a question and you just think, I don't even have any idea what to do. If that's the case, that's fine. Just say, then there's nothing for you to include. But the reason for number 3 is this: it's better for both you and me. All right? If you've invested the effort and you had some thoughts about how to work a question and you tried it, then it helps you much better if I just correct whatever it was that you did wrong. All right? Because the alternative is I start over and I work it from the top, and it kind of ignores all the work you've put into it, the things you did figure out. All right? And then it's better for me because it's usually easier for me. It's usually quicker for me to correct something than to write it out from the top. I mean, there are exceptions to that, but at any rate, it really is better for you to write it out and let me correct it for you. Okay, so that is my intro. There will be more info coming next week about signing up to take your tests in the testing center. Actually, by the end of this week, I hope to have all the tests in the final set up in the testing center, so you can go ahead and sign up. Okay. I'm Professor Gibson. Hey, if you have any more questions, please do ask. I'm looking forward to a great semester.